Okay, welcome back. So now it's time to welcome our first speaker, Paul Luquez. So, Paul, a warm welcome. You're one of the top experts in France.
Yes.
You are chair of Hydrogen TCP Paris for the International Energy Agency. So, TCP stands for Technology Collaboration Program. I'll let you maybe explain what is the organization.
The work on at IEA level. IEA is a very well-known organization at the international level, expert in energy system, of course. And in fact, I don't represent IEA. I just represent the IEA Technology Cooperation Program on hydrogen, which is a part of IEA. And we work together with IEA Paris to work on this very important topic. IEA now seems very interested by hydrogen since 3 years, and it's one of the major key technologies with nuclear, with CCS, with renewables, with energy efficiency to achieve the energy transition. The next slide, please. So the hydrogen TCP, Technology Cooperation Program, in fact, it is an organization grouping 25 countries from Asia, from North America, from Europe, from Oceania, and also some very important sponsors like Hydrogen Council, Shell, some Indian or Argentinian company, etc. And the aim is to work in project named task on R&D issues, on analysis, economic analysis issues, application issues, in order to provide state-of-the-art recommendation, etc. And we have very ambitious objective for next 5 years, especially in market deployment, supply chain, renewable production, hydrogen with CCS, hydrogen with nuclear, application in primary sector like agriculture, mining, and international trade, very important, or industrial use of middle incomes developing countries. And we collaborate with our colleagues from wind, bioenergy, smart grid, greenhouse gas, PV, energy storage. So next slide, please.
Here we go.
Yeah, thank you. So IEA published a new scenario very recently, how we can achieve zero carbon in 2070 or more ambitious in 2050. In fact, the main assumption behind this scenario are we will have a growth in world population first, and we will have economic growth. It's very important to have an economic growth because with a decline in growth, we are not able to achieve the energy transition. And with that, it's very surprising, but we can keep the same level of global energy consumption in 50 years than now. It's a very ambitious goal because that means that we will have a very impressive progress in energy efficiency, electrification, energy intensity, in order to keep the same level of energy consumption as today. It's very, very ambitious to keep the same despite the economic growth and the population growth. So first assumption. The second assumption, we need a huge investment in a new technology. And in fact, you know that 80% of the energy consumption is coming from fossil fuel now, with 15% from renewables. And in the 15% of renewables, 70% are coming from bioenergy. It's not very well known, but bioenergy is a main provider of renewables. Now, PV plus wind represent only 1.5% of the total energy consumption, despite 1,300 gigawatt installed. And the goal is to, you see on the graph at the bottom, the goal, you see the yellow is PV. So we have to go from 0.7% to 20%. That means that we have to multiply by 50 the installed capacity. We have to go from 1 terawatt to 50 terawatt or 100 terawatt at the world level. It's very impressive. And we need also, the other graph is to say that we need also new technology, because the mature technology will assume only 20% of the effort. We need we need technology which are now in early adoption, which is a case of hydrogen. We need technology we are now at the demonstration or even prototype stage now. So huge effort in innovation, huge effort in investment are required. So next slide.
Oh, excuse me, Paul, but I think we won't have time to comment all the slides you have scheduled. But maybe let me ask one question, because in the last report, the IEA just said that hydrogen was a good lever to reach carbon neutrality. So really, we can see that the agency more and more is putting the emphasis on hydrogen, and this is a good sign.
Yeah, and now what I can say, the last publication, ETP 2020 in September, shows that hydrogen could represent 13% of the total energy consumption in 2070. 13% means we need to produce 600 million tons of decarbonized hydrogen. Means we have to multiply by 7 the today's production of hydrogen. Okay, so it's very important to have in mind the order of magnitude, because if you want to produce 600 million tons of decarbonized hydrogen in 50 years, you have to start now first, and second, you will have to develop 5,000 gigawatt of electrolyzer. 5,000 gigawatt. So you see what it means, huh? So next slide.
I just wanted
it was very important to
we have some sound problems with you, but I just wanted to say one thing for those who are watching this video. When I introduced you, I just forgot to tell that you have contributed to a report that has been distributed during the G20 last year. So it was in Japan. Congratulations again. Because we have a tight schedule, I would like now we have some questions from the audience, and I would like to call Nathalie Locke from the agency, the economy agency from the region Burgundy-Franche-Comté. I don't know if you can hear us, Nathalie. Do you have some questions for Paul?
Hello, everybody. Yes, a few questions. The first one, Paul, your working group has prepared a report for the G20 summit last year. Do you have the feeling that it changed the vision that governments could have on hydrogen and contributed to the plans decided by Europe and some other countries?
Yes, in fact, when I prepared this conference, I was very surprised, because this report seems to be a little outdated now, 1 year after, and it's a very good news, because that means that the times seems accelerating for hydrogen. It's not 1 year of time for hydrogen; it seems 10 years, because in 1 year time, all the contribution, all the recommendation that IEA make, but it was not the only organization to make this type of recommendation, but all these recommendations are now integrated in the national plan, you know. So it seems a little outdated now, because all what was recommended was now included in the national plan. So it's a good news. It's a good contribution of IEA, and I think the momentum is very huge now, and the COVID, paradoxically, seems to accelerate the hydrogen momentum.
Thank you. Let me please maybe a last question, because we have
last question. In a recent report, Energy Technology Perspectives, the IEA says hydrogen can help to reach carbon neutrality, but electrolysis capacities have to be augmented a lot. How to deal with that?
It's what I say. If we want that hydrogen play a significant role at the end, because if if hydrogen at the end represent only 1% of the energy consumption, okay, it's not a big role. If we want 10 or 20%, we had to invest a lot in electrolyzer capacity for example, for 2030, which is closer than 2070. We'll need probably 200 or 300 gigawatt at the world level, and at the European level, we need 40 or 80 gigawatt of electrolyzer, and that means at the French level, that means I think it's about 6 gigawatt. We need 6 gigawatt, and that means that we need the factories to produce this
yes.
10 of gigawatts we need, and we will need billions of euros to invest in this plant, and it's the reason why the national plan in Germany, in France, support this investment. The only thing I want to say in the French plan, which is missing, is the international dimension. We don't consider the for example, if we want to import or if we want to export hydrogen, it's an aspect that we don't consider in the plan, at the contrary of Germany.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for this answer. Thank you, Nathalie.
Yeah.
We can go now with the next speaker, please.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.